Yeah, a leader's sense of morality, I think, is, in some sense in our society, overplayed. I clearly believe there's a difference between moral and immoral people, and that people follow and act by basis of modeling, and therefore if we have ugly leaders, we're likely to get ugly responses by people. But from my own standpoint, my own work, I believe we underestimate the ways in which communication systems work in terms of how they lead to most of the immorality, not individual flaws. Jackal did a book about 20 years ago on moral mazes, and what he does there was just brilliant, I think, in the way these literatures are. This doesn't let anybody off the hook, make them able to get away with being irresponsible, but tries to recognize the real work process itself and the ways of making decisions, and how these very routines and ways of making decisions take perfectly moral people, good human beings, and lead them to make endlessly bad social choices. And I'm more interested in that, because if we focus on trying to get the person right, we're always going to have to deal with the ways in which they relate to others and the circumstances they're in. And it fails to recognize that we are moral because we're social. We're not moral and then social. Our morality grows out of communities and practices and ways of talking and making decisions. And if we can get, for example, alternative values into the organizational decision process, whether or not a particular leader is moral or not isn't the issue, because their morality is corrected by a community that is including the various kinds of things that are important. And again, this is not trying to dismiss the qualities of a particular individual in this, but to highlight something we haven't highlighted very well. That is, the greatest immorality in organizational life does not come by a few bad apples. It comes from a systemic way of making decisions that leaves out people's health and well-being, that leaves out the environment, that promotes consumption for its own sake. These are the real moral issues. I mean, the Enrons will come and go, and they're horrible and cost people their lives and their savings and their retirements. They're horrible, horrible things. But the Enron happened because of a set of standard accounting practices that a community agreed upon, which were never implemented in the ways in which we might like to have the values of the rest of us represented in accounting practices. And so I think we have to think of this more as, what are the communication decisional systems we want, and how do they impact upon the moral quality of the decisions that are made in our organizations, and not focus quite so much on the individual qualities of the person who leads.